Yo, what's good YouTube? It's boardzy, and this is going to be a quick review of two new releases from Endgame Gear, everybody's favorite wired mouse company. This is of course the XM2 8K, the latest wired version of the XM1 shape. I doubt there are many new gens watching this who don't know the XM1 shape, but it's obviously an iconic claw grip shape, and it had kind of not gotten an update in a while, so it's very nice to see this pretty much just decked out with the same specs as the OP1 8K. This is, of course, the Purple Frost limited edition version, and that one comes in, I believe, $80. It's limited, while the standard OP1 is $75. So this does have a 3950 sensor, but it's really just, it's not going to provide a meaningful upgrade in terms of actual sensor experience. One minor thing is that they have a glass mode setting, and Endgame Gear themselves has said that it's not going to be a big difference, so you don't need to worry about that. But with this unit, which you can see obviously has this translucent shell, I do have some like creaking issues. And just generally a bit of side popping and flexing when I apply just regular amounts of pressure. Definitely a bit more than you would with like just a feather grip, but it's something I can notice. I would complain about it if it's Razer, fucking ATK, Final Mouse. I'm going to mention it when it's Endgame Gear, which is crazy because they are a company with notoriously great build quality. But, you know, I think sometimes these translucent shells are just the devil, because I've had this white OP1 since launch, and it has a much more solid feel to the actual shell. The coatings are also slightly different. The Purple Frost version has a lot drier of a coating, and it worked very well for me. Like, sometimes I would notice there would just be a little bit of like sweat. It would kind of stick to the shell, and then I'd wipe it off, and then it would just be a very dry, grippy experience. So the white version, it's definitely a bit more rubberized, kind of wet feeling, I guess you could say, similar to something like Razer's coatings. But yeah, really, I don't have any complaints about either, but just the more traditional rubberized feel that's going to be on the white and black coatings, where the Purple Frost, it's just different. So yeah, the sensor's technically different, at least in my case. The shell integrity is different, the coating's different. The switches, there is a very minor difference. They're just using a bin version of the Kill GX switches, which have slightly lower actuation force required. So if you are somebody, a click latency schizo, you have even lighter clicks to assist with that. And they still have the hot swappable switch feature. You just won't be able to use the GX speed modes, which I think is very cool. That did not carry over to the XM2 8K. I don't think that's really a big deal. And this is, of course, using a 3395 sensor and the previous binning version of the switches, I believe, because these just do have a bit sharper of a tactile feel, more defined sound, and the quality on these, it's like the lack of post travel is kind of incredible. Like, the tensioning is very good, but there is a good amount of like wobble and grinding feeling. It doesn't like ruin the experience of the mouse, but there's just more on this than there is the OP1 8K, let's say, where it just feels like a bit more dialed in terms of click wobble. But yeah, I think most people will be satisfied with the click implementation on both mice. The OP1 8K, it's just definitely a faster, like lower travel distance, less tactile feeling click. And I did notice while recording this video that this limited edition version just went out of stock. So that's really that. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. At the end of the day, this is an OP1. All in all, I'd probably prefer to use my white one just because of the more solid shell feeling. But yeah, I could still perform with this, and I feel like if you've been in the aim scene for a while, you'll remember when people used to call the Rocket Cone Pure Ultra a Kovacs mouse. And I feel like the OP1 8K is just the modern version of that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I cannot use this when I try to play Fortnite and I need to hit the side buttons. Like, it's just too small of a mouse. There's not enough presence. So yeah, for me personally, the OP1 8K is just too narrow of a shape. I get very shaky with it when I try to like get a consistent claw grip just because of how narrow it is. When you look at it compared to like a Maya X Viper V3 Pro, it really just becomes obvious. But yeah, I'm sure if you have small enough hands, you'll be able to use this on any game. The side buttons are very well tensioned. They're using Kale 2.0 switches, the teal version, and these just have like a very defined click to them. It's like they almost, when you press it, you'd think it would sound hollow, but there's no hollowness to it. So very good, but the side buttons are just like really skinny. And yeah, just combined with the general size of the mouse and my finger placement, it's just not easy to access them while I'm playing Fortnite. But for most people, I think they'll be plenty passable, and the buttons on the XM2 8K, they are definitely larger, a bit more natural to access while claw gripping. And this mouse, I think it's pretty great. You know, it's really hard for me to come up with words for this because it's just the XM1 shape, but with a modernized refresh. So if you're somebody who used the XM1R in the past and you kind of deviated, or maybe you got the XM2 WE, but now you actually care about click latency. Back then you were like, oh, it doesn't matter, 3370 is fine, but now you're like, oh shit, I need my 67 microseconds of click latency. In that case, the XM2 8K would be perfect for you. And this is objectively, like, for $75, a really good claw grip mouse if you can stand the wire. And the wires are good. So yeah, obviously both mice have angled stress reliefs. I've been kind of bad to the OP1 cable, so it is a bit stiffer at the front, but I could just loosen the cable up from the back. And you see my XM2 8K, this is a bit more like the flexibility that you're going to get out of the box. So it is a really good cable. And Lethal Gaming Gear, they make their lethal cables. I did some of my testing using no bungee just to like see how it is, because you know the bungee's going to change it up a little bit, and it was even fine with no bungee. So I wouldn't say the cables are going to be an issue unless you're like a super low sense player. Even then, some low sense players say the cable is fine. But yeah, back to the XM2. Sometimes I see people say like that the Viper V3 Pro, the GPX, these are like too boring shapes. Then I just try the XM2. You know, I can't explain the shape for the millionth time. I'd recommend watching some of like the 2021 boardzy videos. But yeah, more important than the specifics of the shape is the aura that it has. And pretty much all of these small mice like the Sora V2, the ATK F1, like these would not exist if the XM1 was not out there originally. And people say this draws inspiration from the SteelSeries Sensei. So yeah, you know, if you have like medium to large hands and aggressive claw grip, this is definitely a consideration and will probably fit your hands much better than the OP1. I would still like to see just an OP1 large, but with Endgame gear releases, I'm not going to fucking hold my breath. And I think part of me subconsciously is like against using the XM1 shape until they release like a proper wireless version, but I can't put my finger on it because I just know this isn't something I'm going to like consistently use long term, but there's not really anything wrong with the mouse aside from that side wobble. And yeah, realistically, I think the wire is the issue. And again, it's not like it makes it an unusable experience, but 52 grams wired when I could just use like a 55-gram wireless mouse with the V3 Pro. I don't think I really enjoy the shape of the XM1R that much more, if more at all. So yeah, I'd just rather use the shapes that I've kind of become accustomed to, but I still think this is a really good claw grip mouse for $75, presuming the build quality issues that I have on these are just hiccups and not indicative of the full batches. But yeah, maybe stick with solid colors. Maybe that's a word of wisdom. Maybe it's paranoia. And yeah, it's going to be about all for this video. Let me know any questions you guys may have in the comments. I know I didn't go crazy into depth because these are just shapes that we've seen for a long time now. But yeah, let me know. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And that's all. Peace.